What's going on, YouTube? It's been a long time, but I'm back today with another deck profile. And before I start, I just want to say that I actually had videotaped this profile sooner, but I didn't like how I presented the information to you, so I went ahead and redid it. But also saying that it's been a long time since I've actually profiled something, and that's because I found the game honestly pretty stale. But I had a buddy of mine tell me that I used to like to dabble with a bunch of other rogue decks and stuff like that, so I decided to do that. And you know what? I don't find the game as stale anymore. And that being said, I used to do a lot of hero deck profiles on this channel, and I went ahead and decided to go ahead and dabble a little bit with heroes because they got some new support with the Neos cards that came out of Power of the Elements. Now that being said, this is what my first draft of what the Neos cards look like if you would use them competitively. However, what I do believe after testing this for a couple weeks is that the Neos cards need to be in a more dedicated deck build than just as a small engine. And with that being said, I think the Neos cards are not as competitively viable as everyone thinks they might have been. However, there are some key points in some, and I think that being able to search like Aqua Dolphin and use like Aqua Neos, Marine Dolphin, Marine Neos, and stuff like that, like it was worth testing some competitive viability. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you what I have been playing. But before the profile actually starts, I do keep the deck lists in the description below, and then sometimes I do put like little combo tutorials and stuff like that for little things, but I will be making some actual combo tutorials with the Neos cards to show you what I thought about for the competitive viability. But let's go ahead and get into the deck list. So to start off with the hero cards, I did only play one copy of Stratos. This is what I was playing in previous hero lists before all the Neo stuff came out, so I went ahead and did that. Plus, I think you can only play one in a build that actually plays the Neos combo because you have to make room for the other cards. We're playing two copies of Shadow Mist. This card's actually really integral when you're actually playing the actual Neos cards themselves because it works best with Engage Neo Space, which I play in the side deck, and I actually side the third copy. But in a more streamlined version of Heroes, I think I would play one copy of Shadow Mist, and then I'm going to play three copies of Stratos because Crosskeeper arguably is the best piece of support that came out. And then for the last two Elemental Heroes, we played one copy of Liquid Soldier. I think you need to play one every hero list. And then I was still playing one copy of Honest Neos. However, in a more streamlined version, I probably wouldn't play Honest Neos at all. So that's it for the Elemental Heroes. Then for some of the new support, we are playing three copies of Crosskeeper. We're playing three in this list specifically because we're playing the Neos cards. So you want to be able to see this card. Being a warrior also helps too because it's searchable by Rhoda. However, in a more streamlined version of it, I would still play three because I would be playing three copies of Stratos, and Crosskeeper Stratos is arguably your best opening in any hero list right now. But this card's really cool. It special summons any elemental hero monster from your hand or your graveyard, but if you summon it from the graveyard, it negates its effect. And if an elemental hero fusion monster is special summon, you can banish it from the graveyard, draw two, and put back one. So being able to see more cards is insane in this deck. For the Vision Heroes, we play three copies of Vision Hero Ferris. Not much to say there. It's a great extender, it's a great starter, all that fun stuff. Two copies of Vision Hero Vion, the best standalone hero, and then one copy of Vision Hero Increase. I think now it's more viable to play one more than ever, especially since we have Crosskeeper in the deck list. And then for the Destiny Heroes, we play two copies of Malicious, not much to say there, and then one copy of Denier. And then arguably, in a more streamlined version, I think you do need to play a third Destiny Hero name in the main deck, just because it makes your Fusion Destiny way more potent, which I think it's already the best card in the deck anyway. So in the next list I'm going to show you the Destiny Hero that I would play. And then for the actual Neos cards, we play one copy of Vanilla Neos because you need to with Spirit of Neos, otherwise none of the combos work. One copy of Spirit of Neos. This card's actually really cool. Being able to special summon Neos from the deck is actually insane, and being able to search like Instant Contact, which I think is an insane extender, is just really, really good and stuff like that. It sucks that it doesn't have a way to special summon itself other than in the battle phase, so I think that's where it kind of like cuts the card at its knees, but you never know. And then one copy of Neospatial Aqua Dolphin. Being able to search this off like Infernal Divisor is crazy, and I think it's arguably the card you want to normal summon the most, so that's why it's so important to be able to put two heroes on board without normal summoning. And that's it for the actual Neos monsters that we play for the small package so you can do your combos. On to the spell cards, we play three copies of A Hero Lives. Arguably one of the best starters in your deck. I'm so happy this card came back to three. It's the main reason to play Hero, honestly. And then we have two copies of Fusion Destiny. To me, this one card is the most versatile card in your deck. And another reason why I think the Neos cards don't actually have as much competitive viability, because when you activate this card, it locks you into Dark Hero monsters, and the only Dark Hero monster that we have that's a Neos card is Dark Panther. And I'm trying to remember if Nebula Neos is and stuff like that, but the card's insane, and that's why I think you need to play a third Destiny Hero name, so that way you can get the maximum value out of this card. And then for other hero spells, we play 3 copies of Mass Change. We don't arguably search it as much as we should, and you think you would, although that could change. Reason being is most of the time when I've been playing the deck, I want the monster search off of Shadow Mist more than I want the Mass Change search. But since we are playing Crosskeeper in the deck, being able to trigger the special summon effect of Shadow Mist is more viable, and you can make the argument that you get that too. But I think you want to be able, I think you want to draw this card more than you want to search it, so I think you have to play 3 for sure. And then we have a couple one-off spells for heroes. I'm playing 1 copy E-Call just to consistently see like your Spirit of Neos more, your Shadow Mist more, and then just like your utility heroes more. But I think in like more streamlined lists, I think we cut this card. My favorite card to actually come out of the power elements for heroes is the Instant Contact. For those of you who don't know what this is, you can pay 1,000 life points, and you can special summon a level 7 or lower elemental hero or Neospatian monster. So 2 things that immediately says is we can special summon all the Neos fusions off this, which Aqua Neos arguably has one of the better effects. And you can also summon the Neospatian monsters that could all be summoned off next. So another card that you can think of that does, because we were playing Aqua Dolphin beforehand, but now we can special summon Neospatian Marine Dolphin, which has a very similar effect. Now, the problem with that is if you keep reading the lines of text on this, if Elemental Hero Neos is not on the field or in the graveyard, neither of those monsters you summon off this card can activate this effect. So that's where the need of having to play Vanilla Neos comes into the deck. But that being said, even if you weren't to play Neos, so this card's an insane extender. If you think about it, it's more or less another instant fusion, which we could already play Ready Fusion, but like having more copies of the card is insane. So I think in other like builds, like maybe not like an Omni Hero streamline, but if you wanted to play like Toad Hero, you would definitely play this card for sure, because it's just another way to put a water monster on board without using your normal summon. So I think this is probably the best piece of support we got, even if you don't play Neos. And then we are playing the 1 copy of Rhoda, not much to say there. And then 1 copy of Miracle Fusion. You search it off Sunriser. Having access to Ab-Zero is still insane. And you have more access to it because your Instant Contact's bringing out Water Fusion monsters. So there's that. And then 1 copy of Polymerization. And then for the going second cards or Road Breakers or stuff like that, I personally really like talents in this deck. Your deck is very susceptible to hand traps, main one being Nibiru the Primal Being. And with playing the Neos cards, you're more than likely to be able to dictate or pictate, or whatever I'm trying to say, is basically you have more knowledge of playing around Nibiru now more than ever. And then being able to draw 2 cards or being able to take your opponent's monsters for game pushes and stuff like that. This card has a lot of utility in this deck. Now, arguably, there are a lot of decks that aren't playing hand traps, but a lot of combo decks and stuff like that, or especially like tournament decks that are activating monster effects during your turn and stuff like that, this card becomes very, very potent. So I think it's really, really good in this particular strategy. We are playing 3 copies of Dark Ruler no more. It just makes it easier for you to break the boards. Arguably, though, if you're gonna play this card in Hero, and I'll show it in my next Streamline list that I make about this that doesn't have Neos cards, I think you have to play the Evil Hero package to make the most effect out of this card, because sure, you can blank your opponent's field, but that doesn't account for like back row cards, that doesn't account for like hand traps your opponent has and stuff like that. And a card that I really missed when playing this deck was actually Evil Hero Malicious Bane, because Malicious Bane just easily has the effect to nuke the board and clear it, so that way you can keep playing and stuff like that. So I think if you're going to play this in Heroes, you have to play the Evil Hero package going forward. And then the last card we play in the main deck is 1 copy of Called by the Grave. This card is insane. I still think it needs to be banned, but in the current format, I think right now, personally, I think it's hit or miss, but I'm not 100% sure on that one. But for now, we're still playing it. And then for the extra deck, we are playing the 1 copy of Sunrise. You get a lot of utility out of this card. 1 copy of Absolute Zero. It's the best monster summon off Miracle Fusion. I do want to make room for a Great Tornado, but I don't know if there's actually room for it. But I digress. That's all the Elemental Hero monsters summon off Miracle Fusion. And then for the Destiny Heroes, I played 1 copy of Dangerous because I wanted to be able to make Fusion Destiny 1 card Dark Law, but I think in lists going forward, this card's going to get cut. 1 copy of Dystopia. Again, wanted my Fusion Destiny to be more potent, but for able to realistically play this card as Fusion Destiny as a starter, you need to play a 3rd Destiny Hero name. And then the best reason to play the deck is Destiny Hero, Destroyer, Phoenix, Enforcer. You can consistently still make it in this deck, and it's really hard it's really hard for any deck to deal with. So I think Heroes have a unique niche in that part. 2 copies of Mass Hero Darklaw, still arguably the best extra deck hero we can go into. Macrocosmos is a powerful effect, and being able to rip cards out of your opponent's hand is really strong. And then we are playing 1 copy of Mass Hero Acid. In this list, I'm not playing any copies of Mass Hero Blast, and it's because I'm only playing 1 Stratos, and you need the extra room for the Neos fusion monsters. But in a more streamlined list, we are playing Blast, because you need to be able to tag out with Mass Change. And then for the actual Neos cards and instant contact cards, 1 copy of Elemental Hero Aqua Neos. The new Neo supports makes playing these cards way more valuable than they were before in the past. So being able, and they're with engaged Neospace, so there is a 4-card hand loop, so you need to play it to facilitate that. As I was saying, 1 copy of Neospatial Marine Dolphin, being able to summon this card without having to play next is actually just insane. And being, like I said, being able to take cards out of your opponent's hand before they can play is still an insane thing, and it's a water monster. And then my favorite reason to play the deck is Elemental Hero Marine Neos, because I can literally summon this legitimately and tell my opponent that I'm sending in the Marines, and it's part of the hard 4-card hand loop. And then for the Link monsters, we only are playing 1 copy of Cross Crusader. The reason behind that is because we had to make room for all the Neo stuff. However, in any other list, you should 100% be playing 2 of this card. 2 is very necessary, and that's all I will say about that. One of the monsters you have to play because of the Neo card is Extra Hero Infernal Devicer. Like I said, the biggest part of it is it searches Neos and also searches Aqua Dolphin, so that way you're able to do like your hand rip plays and stuff like that. 1 copy of Warner Driver card's very important. I see some people cut it, and I don't understand why. Being able to recycle your Miracle Fusion, being able to recycle your Poly, so that way you can do your combos, and being able to reset Mass Change and stuff like that's really important. And plus, people forget he has an actual battle phase effect, and it does come up because people won't read the card. So remember that. And then 1 copy of Dread Decimator. It's necessary. It's the only Link 3 hero monster you can go into, and piercing actually is pretty important. And then because the deck profile doesn't make sense without the side deck and I'll show you the cards that I mean. So if we end up going first, I think this deck's arguably better going second. We do side in the 4-card hand loop, which requires you to play 3 copies of Neospace Connector. So if you draw, if you activate this card, you're not going to use Cross Crusader in any of your combo strings or anything like that. We are playing the 3rd copy of Shadow Mist to help facilitate that combo, and then we are playing 3 copies of EN Engaged Neospace. So for those of you who don't know what this card does, this card's actually really insane. So you can send a Neospatian and an Elemental Hero monster from hand, 1 from hand and 1 from deck, and then you can special summon any a level 5 or higher Elemental Hero monster, or 1 Neospatial monster, or 1 level 5 or higher Elemental Hero monster, and then you add Polymerization from deck to hand. The add from Polymerization is mandatory, and if you only play once, if you draw it, you can't use it. But the turn that you activate this card, you can only special summon fusion monsters for the rest of the turn, and if it happens to be Elemental Hero Neos you summon off this card, it gains 1,000 attack points. So, to me, this card is actually insane, but it was a couple lines of text away from being like standard in most deck. 1, the locked-in fusion monster is not really that big of a deal. But the problem is the EN Engaged Neospace only being able to summon level 5 or higher Elemental Hero monsters really sets it back a pace. And then the fact that all the Neospatians are kind of like subpar other than like your Aqua Dolphin and stuff like that really puts a hindrance on this card. Now, if they ever retrained the Neospatian monsters, like for example, me and my buddy Aaron were talking about this, but like they made Elemental Hero Aqua Dolphin and it was treated as a Neospatian card, I think this card becomes like mandatory in a lot of decks, but for now I just cite it for the combo and stuff like that. But the card's insane. Like, I love it. I think it's such a great generic piece. Not generic piece, but such a great piece of Neos and stuff like that, that it was worth trying the test and trying to play. And then on to the other cards. I do side 1 copy of Dark Angel, and that's for the that's to lock out opponents that are like heavily reliant on spell cards. Like for example, I played against a Runic Mind deck, and he didn't draw into any of his Fiends, which I didn't realize that deck sided Fiends, so that's a mistake on my part. But like you put it over that board, and then like it's just an auto, and they can't play around it. And then like Branded's still kind of a popular deck, depending on your locals and where you go to. So I thought it was worth playing as a 1-of that's searchable. And then the rest of it is back row removal, honestly. So 3 copies of Lightning Storm. We're not trying to lose the mine, and it's a good generic card. 3 copies of Cosmic Cyclone. Again, still not trying to lose mine. Good generic card. And then 1 copy of Red Reboot. And that was my hero deck profile with the Neos combos. Like I've been saying in the video, if you made it to this part of it, I am going to be showing another list of a more streamlined version of here that doesn't play like necessarily the Neos cards, but we still play like the Crosskeeper and stuff like that because I think it's such a good generic piece of support. But tell me what you guys think in the comment section below. I am going to try posting more frequently because I did tell my buddy that I wanted to start playing the game more competitively again, and I wanted to get as good as I used to be. But that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.